Hey guys, I'm at Ingenuity Studios and I'm gonna get my boob scanned to make a breastplate. So this is the whole place. Never done this before. Guys, this is Peter. He's gonna explain this whole process.
We're going to do a 3D scanning of Mulan's body. So basically I'm going around her body as she just stands there, and it's going to create 3D geometry, which will allow us to make the 3D breastplate or 3D printing. So it's pretty accurate scanning process, so it conforms to her body only. So it fits exactly to her body. This technology has been used in Hollywood all the time when we do like digi-double, or we do head scans or body scans, or we make costumes or effects like sci-fi super suits or something. We want to fit to the talent's body. So that's what we do here.
And then can we see some of the equipment?
Yeah. So the only thing that I'm going to be using is Arctic Leo scanner, which is a high-end scanner that will capture her scanning as we go around the body. This is one of the more popular one. Because it's all integrated, the computer's in there, and in the process, I don't have to carry around a laptop to walk around, or I'm not tethered to anything. So it's straight from this machine process, and we'll have a 3D dimensional geometry of her body.
Cool.
Yeah. So, for comfortable, you can go barefoot, you know? Or do you want to stand? It doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, software engineer and all that stuff, it's like, it's hard because the AI coming up, you know?
Yeah. So do I just face this?
Yeah,
Like,
you face.
move up?
All you have to do is just, you got enough space. This is perfect space because I need about 6 feet, like 4 feet around your body.
Okay.
And that's all I need.
How do I put my hands and stuff?
Oh yeah, so you're putting your hands on your hips. You want to get lower hips. So if you have your dress, you want to just bring it down just a bit. So that's what Adam's asking.
Okay.
Like right around here, like right there.
Under the belly button or?
Yeah, under the belly button,
okay,
fine.
yeah.
And then we'll start. And I'm gonna do a test scan. I want to make sure that also Duke doesn't get in the way.
Scans. Okay.
So this is the thumbnail of the scan data. Hasn't been processed. When we process, we're going to process in high resolution.
Okay.
So the geometry will be high res. This is what we need. Captures whatever detail. There's some texture that goes with it too, but we adjust the texture in processing. There you go. Five minutes to scan. So we do this in the visual effects world to scan for digi-double. So when you see celebrities go up there and do some crazy moves in the air, jumping, flying, falling, we scan their likeness, and then we have the CG modeler texture and fix up the model and all that, and then create the CG hair to match one-for-one hyper-real celebrities and talent, so that we can put them as doing crazy stunts with visual effects, and it's them. So everything looks like them, and you know, so you don't see it's seamless. You don't see like, oh, it's some stunt guy. So that's what the scanning process helps. And a lot of times you'll see big scanning rigs, camera arrays, and a lot of times the actors or celebrities don't want to go to these locations. So a lot of times I go flying to New York or somewhere, you know, out of the country, and I'll scan them. 10 minutes, I'll fly back here. So that's how convenient and efficient these scanning process is.
So there's no usage of AI, or is there?
No.
No AI.
The scanning doesn't use AI. I know there's other software out there where you use your phone and capture you, or you can submit pictures and convert the pictures to AI. But the thing with the scanning, it's so it's one for one. So basically, it's exactly contours, details. In the past, they did live casting, which still exists. But the thing is with live casting, you got to put straws to their nose. They got to close their eyes when they make the prosthetics. You know, they have to carve everything, make the eyes open, make the expression. When we scan, we can do that with eyes open. We can do it with the expression. We 3D print the scan output, and now they can just sculpt over the prosthetics and stuff like that. So scanning is becoming a huge upgrade for some of these special effects houses, and most of them are scanning now, and they weren't digitally scanning before. So yeah.
Cool. About the fashion and scanning instead of like
part of the
models.
scanning stuff that we do, we could get the contours to match even for the fashion industry. If they want to have a celebrity or person who wants a dress catered to them, we can cut down time by just scanning, 3D printing the body, and then now they can just make and do their whole seamstress and make the outfit based on that person with their contour. We did this with a couple of our superhero suits, some movie shows where we're scanning a celebrity. And then my friend over at Steve Wang's studio, he's making the suit that matches their body. So it only fits their body, and you can tell like the suit's custom rigged. So
Yeah.
in fashion, you can make custom clothing line just on that person. Hey, we can't do this because the cost is too high. So technology cost is high, but I'm able to reach out to some cosplayer and say, hey, if you want to do it, I'll do it for dirt cheap or nothing, It's like, because I love the arts and I want people to be creative and not use money as hindering, why they can't be creative.
And can you also do, obviously, like mannequins of exact bodies, and then
I have a full-size printer that can print like a half a torso in one shot.
Wow, and then even like, I guess like the shells of like if you made a robot after you, like the exact body type.
Yeah.
This is another interesting one. So what about for prosthetics?
Easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I've scanned people's arm and stuff, and then we take it to, like I said, 3D designer, and they can match the prosthetic to fit exactly.
Like if someone was an amputee and like left arm, right arm.
Yeah.
And then flip it.
Yep. Exactly. It's really easy. And the medical world is doing that. They're scanning like the amputee, because the reason why, because when you build the amputee, I know some amputees I talked to.
Yeah.
They said that the generic ones really rubs on the skin.
They're not exactly
wrong.
right. Doesn't
but when
match.
you scan it, it lines up perfectly, so they don't have that issue.
I feel like with Neuralink and stuff in the future, like if people replace like an eye or something and get the exact,
I've done that where I've scanned someone's nose, because he said he was going to go into a nose reconstruction, and having a nose scan gives them gives the doctor idea of how to work with it and make sure that they match.
And practice the plastic surgery on.
So there's a huge world with 3D scan, 3D printing that people are just tapping into, and some are already doing it. I'm not saying that they're not doing it, but the idea is that 3D printers are getting cheaper nowadays.
Yeah.
And some of these scanning technology is getting cheaper, and they're getting better. But once again, it's like no matter what kind of tools you have, you need the professional kind of users to be able to push it through. So with me, I deal with a lot of artists and designers. So I deal with a lot of sculptors. So we can do some cool stuff once we scan, like, data. Then we can do stuff like robotic arm. We can do some art pieces, stuff like that. There's so many ways we can do stuff like
What's the most interesting piece you've made?
The most interesting piece that we've made is I help work on some movie projects where we're scanning, and then we're building a prosthetic, or not prosthetic, like a creature suit that will match them. And some of the studios I've used are like Academy Awards studios that.
Like if you were gonna make like a creature suit with let's say
we did a werewolf outfit too. I scanned a werewolf. Yeah.
Do you also use some sort of physics into it where you are like, okay, if this weighs this much, do you have to make sure it balances the center of mass and stuff, so they can walk with it? Or
yes, so there's a lot of that. So we do have engineers in some of the studios that I work with.
Yeah.
I have some of the smartest engineers out there that once you scan it, then we build it and we test the integrity
the shapes,
of it.
Right.
So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So we have some engineers that take the scan data, take it to CAD and see the mechanism, whether it works or not, and then we apply that. The great thing about doing it this way is that we can do R&D that's a lot cheaper. Mm-hmm. You can 3D print the parts that it doesn't work, then we gotta go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we gotta add more or release more and do all this stuff. So a lot of the practical world is now integrating with the digital world. So what I did was I took some of those digital tools like ZBrush and scanning and 3D print, all that, all these digital tools, and I helped coach some of the practical companies to say we need to integrate the digital and practical. So the great thing is that it's a simple setup, and it is not as costly as people think it is. So now they are able to dive into it. So before, the practical effects companies, they would be like, no, we can't because it's too expensive, or we don't have the knowledge to do it. Where I go out there sometimes, I'll teach a workshop on how to do this right. So yeah. So my background is visual effects. I've been doing visual effects for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to integrate the tools that we use for visual effects to practical effects, and they're catching up pretty quick. And most of our Oscar awards, like the last several Academy Awards for for effects, they were using this technology. Like the whale. 3D print, 3D scan.
What do you think that's going to have as an impact on the whole industry of Hollywood and modeling and fashion and everything else?
It's going to give them the leg on on what they're capable of doing. Like they can solve a little better outside the box with this technology. Before they're strapped down to a little bit like, okay, how can we do it without costing any of the cost?
Yeah.
Now we can do it with saving some cost. A one-man team can scan, print, design, sculpt, and all that stuff. I did a project where we had 30 people. We had to scan the likeness, and if we did practical where they're trying to sculpt the likeness, they would never get the job, and the price would have been too high. So instead of saying, oh, this technology is taking away job, no, what we did was we're able to say yes to the client that we can scan 30 heads and print, and then do the likeness and all that, so that we're able to hire on like mold makers and all these people. If we said it's cost too much to do it practical, the client would have dropped the project and said, then we can't really do this project, we gotta go somewhere else or whatever, China or overseas to try and get cheaper.
Yeah, so, where are the materials sourced from? And what kinds of materials have you worked with?
I've used it all: resin, FDM,
silicone.
And then even some of my friends, they have CNC that they're carving in wood.
Yeah.
Some metal. They're creating all sorts.
Anything with like nanotech?
Not yet, no. But I know some people are actually doing some like engineering in that realm, where it's like you're building little things that are functional.
Nanotubes.
Yeah. No, it's gonna get there because now they can print their pieces and they can go in and engineer everything they want. Before, you'd have to send parts overseas, or you have to have a $100,000, $500,000 machine to, CNC machine to build these. Where now, like, more people are starting to do it on their own. They're starting to figure out how to create the stuff on their own in their backyard.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. I've seen some really impressive cosplayers that are doing like blinking lights and animatronics and stuff like that.
I think it'd be really interesting to see like the whole transhumanist movement, like putting like things inside with like light. So now that's interesting. Like if you can make a severed head, you can like make it look like someone was murdered.
Yes.
Or like this could get into like politics where it's like, oh, we killed like an American in Saudi Arabia and they're actually not dead.
Yeah. We don't
and
know
start
that.
Wars.
We don't know that because that technology is there. Someone can
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's like we don't even know if Jeffrey Epstein is dead.
We don't.
Because like obviously they had this technology way before us.
Yeah.
It got released to the public.
Yeah, you can digi-double anybody. Like they do that in Hollywood. That's what they do.
Yeah,
you know, some scenes you're like wondering, is that person, And you're like, whoa.
Where does like the legality come into play of like using lookalikes, body doubles, like?
Well, it's basically there is no. Yeah, we have protection that they shouldn't be doing that, and then we go investigation and all that. But no one's stopping them to do that. It's all based on their self, Like who's gonna stop the president to do what he wants to do? Who's gonna stop Congress to do what they want to do? You know what I'm saying? There's gotta be investigation. But how many investigation like that gets derailed?
Yeah.
So technically, it's like Mission Impossible. When you watch the Mission Impossible movies, they're making these fabricated heads and all that. We're there. We are there. We can make a fabricated piece. That looks.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Like I can scan your face. Find a person that matches your contour, have her wear your mask and walk around town and commit a crime.
Exactly.
And then you're like, unless you have an alibi,
so you have to find someone that has my contour.
Yeah, then that's easy.
That's easy. Interesting. And then when you get everyone's face and everyone's data, you'll be able to find it easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. So it makes it so easy. Like I could find someone out in the street that, hey, you want to make a couple $100? Put this mask on and go rob this bank real quick, or rob this person real quick,
Yeah.
And then boom, you're now tagged as,
Especially with like the mass surveillance, social credit score.
Yeah, it doesn't. I can scan your head, make a mask, and you can bypass facial recognition.
Yeah, and opening phones. Yeah. And getting through like secure buildings and stuff.
That's why this technology is such crazy, but it's on amateur stands now. I know people who don't do this for a living. They make like severed heads for like cool projects.
How do you think they're gonna eventually gauge for that, like that kind of identity theft in the future?
It's hard. We don't just not fingerprint. You know what I'm saying? People say
like they might have to like prick your finger to get your blood.
Yeah, or
and make sure that it's you.
That's it. Like I said.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like if someone wants to commit a crime using different facial recognition, they'll do it because that technology is so easy for us now.
Yeah.
Like I could call. Like Adam reached out to me because I was like, he knows what I have and what I can do. But there's like 20 people that could probably do the same thing I do. I'm not saying I'm limited to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So now with AI, that changes the whole game. that makes it so much like, to me now, like when I see something, I'm like, is that AI or not? You know, and I see this, I watch this every day. That's like what I do, you know, in visual effects. I say, oh, that's fake, you know. But
Yeah.
nowadays, like in 2 years, we're going to be like questioning everything we do. In 2 years, we're going to be questioning everything that happens.
Now, this is more like, I guess, meta. Like, so you could theoretically do this with the brain
You could.
and eventually, maybe we'd be able to clone a brain
You could.
and someone's consciousness in the cloud and put the exact shape. Even like can we do it into like we do macro, but what about micro, like to the atoms?
That's where Elon and his team's working on.
Ah.
That's why he got those neural links and
yeah,
stuff.
like literally the links and the veins and the
and
arteries
imagine in 5
and
years when
atoms.
AI and neural technologies improving. Yeah, remember, this conversation is existing because of the AI that is capable of doing. You can't have this conversation about 30 years ago.
So can you 3D print at that nano scale?
You will be able to.
Okay.
You will be able to, because 10 years ago,
like
we're printing stuff that we didn't think we can print.
People could have like 3D printed veins and stuff that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, which right now
that match the shape of their body that was originally
right
there.
Now they're trying like heart transplants,
or like enlarged hearts and stuff for children.
Yeah, so it's there. That's why to me, I feel like this technology is only moving faster and getting cheaper. Like that's stuff that you can't touch now because of the pricing and the government and everything that's involved. But think about it, in 10 years you have a desktop that you can like print a kidney, you know?
Yeah.
And say, okay, I don't need a donor, I can do this, you know?
If someone had like, let's say one leg was longer than the other or whatever, and they made a clone, could they make like a more optimized one and like look at the physics of like, like some people, like one arm is like slightly heavier, has more muscle, or has like a tendency, so they could like make a more optimized version?
They could, but the difference is that these are your arms, like is organic, so it has growth also, you know? So you can do that, but eventually one side will outgrow the other, you know? So it's like same thing like prosthetic,
like it can
prosthetic.
Like everyone isn't 100% symmetrical, right?
No.
So you could potentially make perfectly symmetrical versions of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, there's so many ways that people are trying to figure out how to utilize this application. So now with AI, they're able to rethink and let and some people see the bad of it, and I see like more like we have to evolve and advance.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, it takes away the creativity, the idea, the concept. I'm like, and the robots are taking over. I'm like, okay, that's one. I don't know. To me, I feel like this technology is gonna move fast. It's gonna happen. You just gotta embrace it. You gotta figure out how to use it as a tool.
Yeah.
It's like in fashion,
Yeah.
Like you can go traditional, dressmaking, or you can go this way and say, hey, okay, there's softwares out there that can design a dress, and then you can 3D print the design, right?
And you can 3D print like fabrics, right? And then
you can 3D print stuff that are lined up with fabric, but now people are 3D print like kind of like almost like chainmail in smaller form that feels like it's fabric. And I've seen like celebrities goes out to some of these events and they're wearing this 3D printed like piece
suits,
that moves around, So before you know it, you will be able to 3D print fabric, because there's some like soft material right now that you can print that are kind of like silicone material.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a great. You gotta follow like Willowcraft, or you gotta follow this person or this person. They're like, oh, they're now celebrities within their world, and they live in that world, that cosplay where they want to get dressed up, fashion, and make it perfect as they can. So
that's very like Black Mirror, like Altered Carbon, of like we're like dissociating from our identity and like putting on this like shield, like masked identity, and like that's. I think like maybe people are expressing themselves better that way.
And I think part of it is also they're not like in old days when we look at like someone dressing up, or before cosplay they dress up at comic convention and all that, and we're like thinking they're just like kind of like nerds, geeks, and all that.
Yeah.
Now they become actual like people who are sought out and say, wow, how did you do that? How does that look so good,
Well, what's very interesting is like as an actor, you get in a different character anyway, you might as well put on a different face.
Yes.
Same as modeling, you get in like the zone, and like I think like in different, and if you think about it, like you at work at a 9 to 5 versus off of one, you're also taking off a mask and putting on a different one.
Yes, it's basically I feel like it's their world to get away from what reality exists, and that's why they they love these, you know, shows, and they love these conventions because they all meet up together. The only problem I see is like it kind of draws in like different waves of like people who doesn't understand how cosplayers like to you. Let's say I'm a cosplayer, right? I'm a person. This is my thing. My hobby is being cosplay. But let's say I'm a female cosplayer, like a sex symbol, right? Then it draws in these guys who are like, oh, you know, hey, let's take a picture of this, and not realize that that's really a profession, not, you know, and treat it as more than a profession than a sex symbol or anything like that.
Right.
But most of their stuff is so elaborate that when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's really good. And I work with, like I said, Oscar-winning companies that does this for the living.
Yeah.
Who works on costumes and stuff from the movie, and it's getting better and better. And I think the thing is, like, they don't get as recognized, I think, that other people like sees.
Yeah.
And I like what they're doing. That's my honest opinion. I like what the cosplayers are doing.
You could even 3D print like custom like fake nails that fit exactly, or like right, like earpieces, obviously. I guess headphones that fit exactly.
Yeah. Anything that's like I said, the chest piece that we're doing, it's only you can wear it. Nobody else can wear it.
Right.
So you can go to the store and buy a chest piece.
Yeah.
You know, and put it on and and everything. But that doesn't form fit to your body.
Yeah.
You'll see when Adam does your chest piece, when you put it on, it just form fits to your body.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing that it makes you individualize yourself. Because if you look at the stuff that he does for the chest pieces, every chest piece is different because everybody's body's different.
Yeah.
But when they wear it, it's them. You know, you can't take XYZ chest piece and wear it yourself, and they're like, okay, that's not really you.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's true.
But when you wear your own chest piece, you're like, your identity is like, this is my contour, and these are what, you know, this is who I am.
This is actually that could be also making shoes, because a lot of people have issues with heels and like arches and like
they do that right now.
Hurting their ankles. Yeah.
I even talked to my friend who 3D printed a shoe, and he's like, he was walking at a convention, he goes, man, this thing's sore. And I said, okay, what we need to do is we need to scan your feet.
Yeah.
Use it as a negative when you build your shoes so that it slips in and it fits perfectly to your feet, and also you're walking around. The problem is, like I said, that gets expensive when you go to a company and says, hey, I want to scan my feet to contour so I can make my shoes. So when companies do that, they're like, brrr.
From a business side, like I wonder if you could just like, as a conglomerate of like 3D printing, and people can basically rent or pay for a subscription. And
Well,
I guess like later, like to 3D print like clothes, shoes, like accessories.
Here's the thing. I feel like from a business standpoint, I can go here and charge people like easily $1,200 for a scan, $1,000 for a scan, $2,000. But I'm using the Uber model, you know, where it's like I'd rather scan 10 people, you know, at a lower cost, and 20 people than only scanning 2 or 3 people at a higher cost.
For advertising
because
too.
Right now with this economy, you know, people would rather say, okay, I gotta do more and then drop the price and let them be accessible to the technology, than just say, okay, I'm gonna scan 1-2 people and I'll barely get phone calls to get scanned, you know, stuff like that. I mean, even with this chest piece that we're doing, like if you got a company who custom makes your chest piece, it can be anywhere from 10 grand just to make a custom chest piece.
Yeah.
But what Adam's doing right now is he wants to make it available for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
So how do we do that? He has to cut the cost. So the first thing I do is like, I gave him a deal on scanning.
And you guys can do like soft material, like making
we can do TPU.
custom bras.
TPU is like really soft material. That's kind of like silicone.
Yeah. That's gonna be huge.
That's TPU's been printed for years now, and they're getting better and better, you know?
So do you guys see yourselves like other brands buying this technology to make design for their clothes and stuff?
I think the thing is the technology's out there. They can do the research, and they can make it themselves.
They can make it themselves.
So it's not like it's a hidden research. There's not anything that we're doing. It's not private, you know, intellectual property.
Yeah.
So I totally think that they can do it, but the problem is like they're afraid that they're doing it because they're looking at costs. How do we start? Where do we start? It's like me. If I was to, you know, build a company that just does space rockets, like I don't even know where to start, how it costs and all that, you know. So I think a lot of these companies don't realize that it's very reachable. where the cost can be lower, but someone's got to have to guide them and show them how to do it. Once you guide them,
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, we can do it ourselves now. We don't need to outsource any of that stuff. And that's why when I work with the practical effects houses, I teach them, I guide them so they can do it themselves. Like they can hire me to print and scan all that, but I'd rather teach them how to scan and print, and now they have the power to do it themselves. Yeah, I might be out of a job, but not really. I'm continuing coaching people and teaching people.
Well, yeah.
So it's not really me out of a job. It's just I'd rather someone learn, you know. It's the same thing like, you know, teaching how to fish.
You guys, like, I went to a coding boot camp too, and I
Yeah.
also studied computer engineering. You guys could create whole boot camps about
Yeah.
like getting certified.
Yeah, like right now I'm working with a
And then
veterans
people can
program.
open their own like practices, you know.
So right now I'm working with a veterans program
Yeah.
where we're trying to build this technology to teach them, because a lot of veterans come out thinking, oh, you're gonna be a cop or you're gonna be a street
Yeah.
worker or whatever. So what I am working with VST, which is a Veterans Stand Together program, non-profit organization.
Yeah.
So I'm building these little workshops to teach them how to scan, to print, make stuff like this. And so we're able to go out there and get these government grants to teach these veterans how to do it, because when veterans come out, and I'm a veteran,
Yeah.
so when they come out of training, they're like, okay,
Amazing.
there's not much
My
I can
agent's a
do.
veteran too,
Oh, see?
military.
So when
Yeah.
you come out, you're like, all I can do is either become the police force, or I can work for the city or do whatever the case.
Yeah.
But we're trying to train veterans how to be creative, use this technology as a tool. Also by doing that, they're being creative, but also like we can get like government subsidy or grants to help us provide for that, because it shouldn't come out of the cost of the veteran, you know?
Yeah.
We should help them so that they can go out there and do this stuff. And most of them will come out doing it on their own, doing whatever they want, or they become engineers and say, I want to advance myself because this is stuff I know how to do, you know?
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so I'm working with veterans program where I'm trying to get that.
And it's one of those things, like, you don't really need it. Do you need a degree to do this?
No,
Or
that's the thing. In those days, yes.
Yeah, I would love to learn this.
You don't need that's the thing. It's like, I've taught people how to do this and they're just straight out of like high school. Because
Yeah.
we don't need to be certified to do this, you know? We just need to be hands-on to do this. We need to be able to say, I know how to go into the software and do this. I can either 3D sculpt, ZBrush, or I could go to CAD, you know, and go SolidWorks and build stuff out of there, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so many programs out there that continue on. Yeah.
Do you also 3D print car parts?
Yes, easy. They do it right now. There's printers that are that big that you can print like car parts, fenders, pieces that are like no longer in existence. You can scan and do reverse engineering.
Like trying to custom, so I feel like it costs a lot for them to get certain pieces.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's going to be cheaper to print them.
No, it should be cheaper to print
It should be
them.
cheaper to print them, right?
And once you design it, you have that design. Like, you know, you can fabricate whatever you want. Car companies are doing that now. This is like a big money builder for the 3D scanning company, because they're attacking car companies, automotive industry.
Yeah.
Because they can print like scan a whole side body and then print that whole side body over again, you know?
So you can 3D print metal.
You can't 3D print metal now.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice,
I've
okay,
been to a show where I'm watching them. They're 3D printing metal. Basically, what it is there's two types. There's the type that will 3D print that metal where it's really hard surface. They do have that. Very expensive equipment, but I think, you know, as time goes, it's going to get cheaper. But they also do CNC, where they're cutting down parts to match, you know, that metal
Wow.
from SolidWorks. That world, like I said, exists. My friend who does wood carving, he's got a wood carving CNC machine. So what he does now, before in the past, he'd have to carve his artwork. Now we scan pieces that we need, we go in and design it, and then the 4-axis CNC will just boom, 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 make out wood, and then he just goes in there and fine tunes it. So it's saving him time, but he's able to make more of it
Wow, yeah.
to sell to the public or whatever, and then that creates a cost reduction. Like, if I'm going to spend 10 hours to build something, I'm going to charge my hours for it. But if the computer is, when I'm sleeping, and the computer is like building the majority of that, then I can drop my cost and not feel worried about that, you know? Yeah.
So going back to like sculptures and like complete like 3D molds, like I feel like this can get confused with AI when it's not, because you're kind of like cloning, right? And then do you think this will also cause like a sort of controversy on artists where they want to, like, especially the realists, right? Like the realism ones, where they're painting exact sculptures of people, and like this would be able to make exact replicas, right? And like,
well, the way I believe is like
if an artist made with this technology something, and then displayed it and acted like they just made it themselves.
Well, that's a problem right now that everybody's facing, because everyone's saying when they show you art piece, a lot of problems we're facing is like, the first thing is like,
how do you check?
They're gonna say, the first thing is flag AI. People say that's AI, and then they have to
AI
sit
art.
here and they have to debate. They have to, you know, say no, it's not AI. This is my work. I'll show you the behind the scene. I'll show you all that stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
The way I believe it is like, you should not go into this like this role unless you have sculpting skills, unless you know how to principle sculpting. Even when I teach ZBrush, I don't teach people who don't know how to sculpt. I gotta see what their sculpting skills look like, because it's the same thing like Picasso. Picasso can do his cubism, his analytical cubism. He can do all his, you know, the way he thinks and all that. But if you look at Picasso, he knows how to life draw. He knows the principle of art. But if somebody comes up there and draws a funky like cubism, and they say, oh, this is like a Picasso piece, this is my art style, I'd like to see what your life drawing looks like. I want to see how you see realism.
Yeah.
If you understand how dimensions, you know, and how to draw a life drawing or anything, then you could go any style you want, because you know the fundamentals of art, you know, basics of that. So I'm not saying that that's not art, but to me, in my eyes, when I see someone that can sculpt hyperreal or even draw hyperreal, I'm really impressed. And then what this technology is allowing them to do also is to speed up their process.
Yeah.
It's like, how many times you have to sculpt a skull over and over again, you know? It's like, if you know how to sculpt a skull once, then you don't need to do that. You cheat, you know, you start to sculpt around it. It's like, why do you have to start a big pot of clay to sculpt your head, where a lot of artists will just take aluminum foil and filling that spot and then start sculpting around it to save, you know, time and money or whatever. So this is the same concept. Like, if you know how to sculpt photoreal, then you know how to take it into digital and fix it in photoreal, you know? So how do we take it into digital?
Yeah.
You sculpt something, we scan it, you go into digital, now you can address it however you want. And the thing with the digital is like, it's so forgiving. The same thing like Photoshop, you know? Years ago when Photoshop was introduced, people were like, oh, they're doing the old-fashioned way. Now everybody's Photoshopping, right? Because it's forgiving. You can undo so many times, you can make changes, you can do all this on the fly.
Yeah.
So it makes you more just as creative as you are doing it traditional. So a lot of times when I work to scan their sculpts, so that they can save it. If something happens to their sculpture,
so you don't have to worry about the sculpture breaking and it lives
melting,
forever.
And so you have a catalog while you're working, and it lives forever.
So it's like, I guess, not using it to make the sculpture, but to have existing sculptures be archived.
Yes, archived, basically. Or to manipulate the sculpture in digital that's more forgiving, that you can be creative, you can create. So some of these traditional guys are starting to learn ZBrush, digital sculpting. So if, let's say,
is it like a one-to-one conversion? Because some people aren't as technical, and it's like,
it's
you know,
really
it's
one-to-one. Like if they're gonna work,
they might be super talented in person with the actual clay or whatever, and not as much on ZBrush, or it is.
So no, so what happens is like when you're an artist, you understand space and everything else. All ZBrush is a tool, just like Photoshop.
Yeah.
So when we scan their sculpt and they take a ZBrush and we teach them how to use ZBrush, I can walk away, come back in a month, and all of a sudden it's amazing. Like, you learn ZBrush so much, because the idea is that they understand space and relations and art and traditional. But if you take someone who's only digitally trained, they don't understand it. So when you print their stuff out, it looks weird, it's off, because they don't understand spatial relationship. And they don't understand depth and how much. Traditional sculptor understands that. So if you give them a pen and a computer, they will figure it out, just like Photoshop.
Wow.
So now they're doing it faster, getting things done faster. I asked everybody that transition over, and they said, man, I can get a lot more done in ZBrush. And that's not taking away their creativity, because at the end of the day, they're going to 3D print, and you're going to see the one-for-one likeness of the changes and all that stuff.
Interesting.
And like I said, it stays in their digital archives. They have all their sculpts. He's an Academy Award, like 7 Academy Award winner. Rick Baker.
Very cool. I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, he did, like, you know, American Wolf from London. He's that, you know, Michael Jackson's Thriller. He does all the gorilla movies and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I work with him, and I help him set up his scanning. And now what he does is he archives his stuff, and he fixes things that he couldn't fix before. And like I said, it's a whole new world, and he's very creative. So someone that's been doing it for like years, he's up with technology. He's really up there with technology.
That's
and
awesome.
he's retired, so now he's he's able to do all he wants, and he's always asking me like, oh, what's the people doing nowadays? You know, we always, you know, converse and say, oh, they're doing this right now, or they're using this tool now.
Yeah.
On a tour of one of the shops I help out, Alec Gillis Studio.
I would love to.
Let me know, because I know they have an open door policy with me. I'll show you like what their traditional artwork, and I'll show you the 3D printing and scanning stuff, how it incorporates.
I strongly am a firm believer of not gatekeeping, and like,
Yeah.
because we're constantly learning from other people. You can learn so much from children. So,
Yeah.
And staying relevant. Another thing when it comes to like aesthetics. So you know how like, you know Grimes?
Yeah, Grimes.
Okay,
yeah.
so like I love her. She's like a huge inspiration.
That's funny because we did a mocap session with her.
She's like one of my favorite like inspirations, aesthetic.
She's very artistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her whole art
We scanned her
angels.
too.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So with like she was gonna do those like elf ears, right?
Yeah.
And like so I guess like you could just make those prosthetic ears, but like maybe you can make it with human skin later and then actually just make those and append them, right? And actually have elf ears and like combine it with stem cells. So do you think this kind of opens up the doors for people to just actually become the cosplay, like their skin and bones?
Yes, there's people already doing stuff like that.
And grow
They're
into
fixing their teeth like
creature.
vampire, you know? They're actually putting stuff inside their skin to make it like, you know, to stretch
And
out the
actually
skin.
become extremely unique.
Yeah.
That's insane.
There's people already doing that, and like I said, how can they do it with this technology? It's going to help them.
It's actually quite beautiful how it's like it's technology affecting society like physically and like then mentally as you become the person that you are, right?
Well, just think about this. Like,
you become your character.
Like, you know, when you get your nails done, right? You're putting in fake nails, right? It's not like you're growing these nails perfectly. You're actually going there manicuring the nails and getting them shaped the way you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's not different if someone wants to put on like ears that match their skin that lines up to their ears and they just put it on. It's like putting on nails or fake nails, you know?
Yeah.
So at some point, it's going to be like, okay, we're going to be able to, you know, to surgically, you know, change your ears.
Right. And then make it stem cells and different cell differentiation, stuff like that. That's definitely going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be interesting for gender identity, right? And like maybe it might make transitioning and like all like there's so many people that this is kind of political, but they regret the trans surgeries, but maybe this is a way for them to have like a less deleterious one.
Yeah. They don't need to go full blown, you know?
Yeah, or like they don't have to do it in a harmful way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where it could be like they're, you know, if that's what they're feeling, we'll be living in a world where they'll be comfortable. Everyone will be comfortable being, you know, wherever they want to be, however they want to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, you know, things are like, you know, we don't identify as what we see, you know, we identify what you want to be.
And and then I feel like people will feel less of an imposter of cosplaying, and it's like instead of wearing the mask, they become it.
Yeah.
And then become the new improved them, or like how they see themselves
honestly, I feel
internally.
like that's a mental thing that helps them live through their whatever they do in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, like if it makes you happy, do it. Whatever the case is, if it makes you happy, just do whatever. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where cosplay is. Like when they come in their world and they do this and they meet together their group, they're super excited and they're like showing off their awesome and they're all happy. You know? I've never seen a cosplayer that's pissed off. You know? That they're there.
Yeah.
So they're in that world where they're just happy to be that and to do that. So what do? You just heighten their happiness by helping them create things that they want to create. And we have the tools and technology knowledge, we can help them. You know?
I think that's also a really good way of keeping people like connected back to earth still, like not just in the digital world where they're who they want to be in the cosplay world, in the metaverse, and they can actually emanate and be that in the real world as well. So like they can still like, some people like want to escape, like they turn to drugs, they turn to like VR. I think eventually VR is going to be a huge thing, and I think it'll help them be like, no, like I love how I exist in the real world as well.
And that's why they look forward to these conventions, because they're among peers. You know, if we had a 365 day of convention, they can every day be what they want to be. So they look forward to these people, these cosplays don't have a lot of money. It's not like they're, you know,
I know that.
So I see a lot of them, like they'll go to a convention and they'll like book like 10 people per room so that
Yeah.
they can go to the convention, you know?
Because they're buying the feeling.
Yeah,
right?
they're
like
in
spending
a
all
happy
this
place,
money
right?
to feel like actually how they are.
And once again, I'd rather see them go and design and be creative and stuff than hiding themselves in drugs or anything, you know?
Yeah,
That puts
yeah.
them in that different world.
But even being in the digital world versus
Yeah.
the exterior
Exactly,
world and
because
like
they
not
can bring that
needing
to you.
that,
Like,
yeah.
and like I said, I have friends that are cosplay that make their own outfit that are like all into it, like as if it was a full-time career. And I always feel like that's great because that's their passion.
Yeah.
You know, like we all have our own passion and where to go, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think the only question is how extreme can this get? Like people can just become like not human whatsoever in the future, right?
yeah, I think until it gets accepted, then the
Yeah.
extreme becomes the outcast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if someone comes to the extreme, they're like, whoa, we're not that crazy. You know?
It's like this guy just wants to become a tree
yeah, yeah.
and somehow survive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the furry things, you know. They put on their
Exactly,
suit
yeah.
because they're like, oh, we're in our own little world and we have our own little, you know, whatever. And then when people you're not in that world, you're thinking, what a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
But it's like no, because you don't know how they live and what they do. It's not they're out there, you know, creating crime and all this stuff.
I do think like this is going back to the trans surgery thing. I do think with this technology, we're gonna need a lot of mental health checks to make sure
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing this not
Yeah.
out of trauma but out of actual
yeah, I agree.
you know.
I agree because once
So,
you,
yeah, like
it's like
checks and balances.
chasing a rabbit hole. You get deeper and deeper until you realize that it's
It's
what
like
is
wait,
it?
this is just projection.
Yeah.
This is just
And it's just like anything else in
Freudian.
life, you know. You don't want like too extreme.
Yeah,
you know?
there's always gonna be.
You have an extreme religious, extreme political, extreme. Everything gets too extreme, then it becomes like not, you know, what's the purpose for
Yeah.
it, right? So that's where you're right. There's got to be a checks and balance of what it is. It's
Yeah.
like your day job. You're a software engineer, and at night you go and furry or whatever. You know, that's what
Right.
you do, right? But in a day job, does it affect you? No, I just do my day job. You know. But if it starts to affect you, where you're to become extreme, where you're coming your work with a furry suit, then that's where it becomes like, okay, the checks
Yeah.
and balance has to exist. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you coach for kids volleyball?
Yeah, I coach for a club volleyball team, athletic team.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do a lot of times, I'll scan some of the kids and I'll create momentums for their parents. A little sculpt of their kids, you know,
Yeah.
their uniform, or just a head plaque of their, you know, because that's a memory that we're creating for them.
Yeah,
And yeah, we have photos that we collect through the years and all that,
yeah.
but they can have a physical, like
physical.
three-dimensional, you know, memory of their kids when they're younger. And I feel like that's a little bit more like
Yeah.
sentimental. Like, oh, I remember you're this age and look at this little head busted.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I feel like that could also get really interesting down the line when we have like, we could technically make like a robot for your kid at every age.
Yeah.
And they just be like, hey, talk to 5-year-old me,
Yeah.
and like their consciousness and
Well,
everything.
another thing too is
It's
what about
like-
your parents? Like scanning your parents and having it like as a little plaque. Because when your parents go away, you want to look
That's
back
true,
and
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
You know, what about making a gravestone with just your parents? Like, so you're not gonna hire a sculptor to do a likeness of your parents when you can just go out there, scan your parents as they get older, and then when put a little headstone with them, and that's them. You know.
Yeah.
So those are little things that are momental that I feel like sometimes I want to do for
Yeah.
because we forget the memory we don't have
I think another thing is like, obviously with plastic surgery and like Hollywood, but like we see a lot of like actors, like they're still doing it and like they're like Anne Hathaway, right?
Yeah.
Like she still looks the same, so like she's also doing, like they're kind of still in part of the industry and therefore some new people aren't as able to get in.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of creating these like new standards where there's less diverse, like less fresh faces, and like we
Yes.
could end up in a future where there's only like a select number of like aesthetics and ideals, and then with the prosthetics, plastic surgery, people will keep trying to look like the set of ideals instead of embracing their own uniqueness.
Same look,
And then,
trying to fit in.
because a lot of people in LA, they say like everyone in LA kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Like it's like the typical lips, that boobs, whatever. And so that's already happening. And then hopefully the prosthetics and all of this stuff helps people embrace uniqueness over just like, oh, like I want to look like this and have this prosthetic or have like this chin lift,
The
right?
problem is like you get the influencers involved, the Instagram influencers,
And they all look the same.
They all look the same.
They all look the
They all
same.
go to the same events. They all do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that lives because they know that works because it worked for one influencer.
Exactly.
So what's the formula? I'm going to do the same thing what they do. I don't want to reinvent myself.
Yeah.
So that's the problem we're getting. Influencer now are the new rock stars, you know?
Yeah.
Even Hollywood, they look at their, like if they're coming in, they'll look at your influence page or your Instagram and see what kind of person.
You know, in a way, I think influencers being real people and like cosplayers being characters, you can't really copy characters like that. So I would like to see that shift of cosplayers becoming the new celebrities.
Yeah.
So then we go back to embracing our true selves or like our inner selves.
It's something like it's that person that you get to meet and introduce to something.
Yeah.
So when I meet some influencers, it's like it's a cookie cutter, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I'm meeting the same person.
I feel like they like looking a certain way on the outside, but then like your animus, your cosplay character is the bottom of the iceberg, the shadow self.
The problem sometimes is also like they don't really look like that in real life, and when you start to see that, you know,
Yeah.
because with all the AI and all the tweaks and all the makeup and all that, they're changing their identity, and then without any of that stuff, when you see them as a real person,
Yeah.
it's totally different, and then you remind them this is you. It's so funny because sometimes when I scan a person, like an influencer or when I scan it and I show them the thumbnails, what it looks like, it's them. But sometimes they'll look at it and say, that's not me. And I'm thinking, the computer won't lie. Because they're used to seeing all that makeup.
The filters,
the filters, the smooth and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like when I scan females, that's mainly what happens when I scan females.
Interesting.
They look at their face without the makeup and they realize that they say, that's not me. And they, you know. So I get a lot of that. I get a lot of that where it's like, oh, okay, that's not me. And
real quick, if you scan someone's face with like cheek implants and fake lips, does it scan?
Well, what happens is like it's the contour. So if their cheek implant is big, then it's gonna scan that big.
Oh, okay.
You know, what changes is like makeup. There are some makeup artists are crazy good.
Yeah.
Like they can make themselves look like totally somebody else. But when you scan them, we're not scanning the makeup that shows the depth. We're scanning your contour.
Yeah.
So now, without the makeup, that's you. So there's a lot of time where I have to defend that and say, no, that's you. The computer won't lie.
Yeah.
We can add the makeup and all that stuff to make it look like you. But the computer don't lie.
Yeah.
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 You know? It's a natural curve. It's not fake.
Yeah.
It's not like you, like having a six-pack or whatever the case is, you know? So
even people with six packs, their muscles are all different too.
they're all different.
Like,
so what captures the human eye is the natural look.
Yeah.
So that's why, like,
people can tell if it's AI.
yeah, they can tell it's AI, or they
perfect
can tell.
symmetry.
Yeah. Like if I scan your hand and you just do this, and your fingers and all this, it's gonna look so natural. But if I have someone digital 3D sculpt your hand like this, it doesn't look natural. The way it looks, there's no feel, there's no weight, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I deal with only traditional sculptors, because they know how natural, like, life drawing and life sculpting works.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a different world.
Yeah.
That people.
Yeah. Another thing is, so you would be able to scan like a person's exterior, but then would you be able to make that as a mold, like for someone to have that exterior and like put that over them?
Yes, actually I did a project, and I can't really say much about the project, but what I did was I scan a celebrity.
Yeah. And they can dress up like them.
And what happened is, like, he has a stunt double. So we scanned a stunt double.
Yeah.
But we print out the celebrity with the negative with the stunt double. So when the stunt double wore the mask,
yeah,
it
exactly.
fit the contour exactly.
So now that's making me wonder if like all those like the conspiracy that they say someone's dead and it's just like they have a body double or like the president.
That's the thing. It's like it's so realistic now. Like if you see some of these mask makers out there, they look really good.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's so easy to scan someone's face, 3D print their face, and